republic. And in that constitutional republic that we have, 99% of the people can't take away the rights of 1%. You have your rights because you were born with them, human rights that nobody can take away from you, the government, the majority, no matter who they are.
Aaron Reese is exactly 110,000% correct. We're not a democracy. A democracy is just another form of dictatorship, tyranny, or anything else. And those that use the word, they know what they're doing. They're conditioning you. Shaylinda Bernard at the Moreno Valley City Council meeting. And while 4 of the members decided not to cancel events over the ICE raid or what was on the agenda, this is Shaylinda Bernard in the deliberation comments on that issue. I don't want to do that before we get it. Hopefully we'll get into the rest of it, but here we go.
Snatched, because I'm going to call it what it is. You get kidnapped. I don't care. And I don't want to hear if you have nothing, if you're a legal resident, because they have scooped up U.S. citizens. They have scooped up children. They have taken folks that have been checking in at immigration hearings. So this government, as I have been telling you since January, is a grift and a lie. And I do not believe that they believe and fully support the Constitution, because they are working their way towards expending and pushing every element of the Constitution, including what they're doing in D.C. and trying to force us into a police state. With that being said, well, I do understand. We probably shouldn't cancel because we don't want to show fear. I also want to make sure that everyone's aware, because we get the phone calls, we get the emails. We cannot guarantee that when you are off of our property or our event, that they will not come through and snatch you up.
You can't even guarantee if you were on that. It's a public meeting. If a public meeting, public event, you don't have to have a warrant. You don't have to have anything to do that, and they're federal officers. And then we're a police state. You don't like Shaylinda, Miss Bernard, why don't you come in anytime? We'll have a discussion. You think the Trump administration trying to make Washington, D.C. safe? You want it the crime-ridden, drug-ridden, gang-controlled area it's been? Come on in, Shay. Defend your ground. Back up your case. Because you're spreading the seeds of fear. You're spreading the seeds of democracy, which is a dictatorship, totalitarian, where people like you, elected officials, and the hierarchy and the establishment control everything. We'll have more on this, and I hope Shay or some of the other officials will have enough intellectual integrity to come in and defend their position on an equal and open forum. Talking about illegals, it's now a truck driver who had a California commercial driver's license, which you need to drive a truck. If you got a commercial driver's license, in most cases, I believe you can drive a truck in all 50 states. It is the Interstate Commerce Commission and all that, ICC. Someone in the country reports are illegally, has a California driver's license, could not pass the written test, does not speak English, failed the science test, makes a U-turn in Florida in the middle of the freeway, where like for public safety vehicles to have access to it, winds up killing 3 people.
Killed 3 people. Officials say the illegal immigrant charged with causing it had major shortcomings on his driver's test. So why was he given a commercial license? It's a question a lot of people are asking this morning. Good morning. I'm Dana Perino. Bill Hemmer is off. Good morning again.
Yes, we're asking the question, why in the hell did that a-hole have a commercial driver's license issued in California? You don't care how they got in here, Shay. If they're here, they're okay. I think that's on tape on Moreno Valley Council meetings. Holy cow. We'll have more on this hopefully too as we soldier along today's broadcast. Gavin Newsom. We'll get with the redistricting stuff on that. Morning Joe, there's a New York Times article out how the Democrats are going in the tank. Morning Joe had this. Oh, what a reverse. Since him and Mika had that meeting down at Mar-a-Lago with Donald J., boy, they've been changing their tune. Check this out.
As they're trying to find their footing, and it's quite embarrassing, actually. I mean, Gavin Newsom, I mean, have you seen what he's doing online? And it's like, just take a deep breath. Yeah. Don't try to turn the ship 180 degrees and one, they don't know what to do. I have a good idea. Instead of trying to like school Donald Trump, talk into the camera about affordability. Talk about making groceries like more affordable.
Please take Joe's advice, Newsom. Yeah, there's has bits of tweets and Izzy and all that Newsom's his latest 111 remake of himself. Please talk about affordability. Highest living costs, gas prices, grocery prices, freeway congestion, everything. Electricity, everything you need. High. Highest costs in the nation in California. Oh, Gavin Newsom's the greatest. Democrats, please put Gavin Newsom up as your poster boy to talk about how great and how affordable California is. A vagrant capital of the world. We took care of homelessness and no mental illness in the streets and all that. And we're just safest place in the country. Oh, set Gavin Newsom up. Please follow Joe's advice. Sometimes you can't believe they're that dumb. Underwater volcano could erupt soon, scientists say. Well, maybe that'll split us on the San Andreas Fault, and then we'll have oceanfront property here in the Inland Empire. Hey, if it happens, it happens. Mother Nature's way more powerful than us. We're not doing anything about it. I don't worry about these things a bit. New Mexico appeals court blocks New Mexico's 7-day waiting period for gun purchasing, saying it violates the Second Amendment. Good job, 10th Circuit, telling New Mexico to stuff their 7-day waiting periods up their ass. Clear enough? Husband of missing SoCal mom caught on camera dragging a object before the body is found. They found her in a rolled up carpet. It appears a video that he's dragging out a very heavy object in a rolled up carpet. This one, again, we hope for the best, like the the Emmanuel Haro story. But this one, again, man, oh man. They won't tell us what's going on in redistricting. Big victory at Redlands Unified School District. Candy Olson, Jeanette Wilson, and the other lady did vote to eliminate sexually explicit materials in our schools. Finally, some sanity's coming around, we hope. Tomorrow at RUSD, we'll preview that maybe a little bit too. It's coming up tomorrow. And we're not even to hump day yet. Oh, we are on hump day yet. I mean, we're just in the middle of the week. that funky slide guitar music that comes in every Monday through Friday, live at 5, a little after. Evil FB Network, YouTube, I don't know, Rumble, and X seem to be having a problem. Have I been having tech problems up the kazoo all week. I don't know what's going on, but something. Dick Dastardly, if you remember the old Wacky Racers cartoons, is something happening here because man, oh man, oh man. Lots of stuff to get to. There's two RUSDs out here in the IE, Redlands Unified School District and Riverside Unified School District. Redlands, Candy Olson and Jeanette Wilson have been champions. There's two on the other side that are on the woke, idiotic list. I don't know. There's one in the middle, and she seems to be voting with Candy and Jeanette in these key deals. So they were able to, again, refine the policy so there's not sexually explicit material in the schools in Redlands. Why we're even talking about this is amazing. But we still got the deal coming up tomorrow at 5:30 at the other RUSD, Riverside Unified School District. The Poly High girls volleyball team who said, we're not playing with A.B. Hernandez on the Harupa Valley team, who's a boy, on the girls volleyball team, who took most of the high jump and a bunch of gold medals up at the state CIF championships. They said, we're not playing against him. If the school districts and the state and the parents and everything, would get more involved in this and say this is not happening, we should not even be dealing with this for any reason. So 5:30 tomorrow, Riverside there on Brockton between Central and Arlington at the old adult school. The Riverside Unified School District school board meeting will commence, and hopefully a lot of like-minded parents like John Barry and the crew over there in Redlands with Redlands Tea Party Patriots and a lot of concerned parents showed up. And with Barry's report, he said this time the kooks who want all the sexually explicit and boys and girls and transgender and chop off women's breasts and boys Johnsons and everything else and don't tell the parents. He says they went home after the deal. They didn't sit there and linger out in the parking lot, tailgate in the parking lot. So maybe we're seeing the seeds of change sowing in California. Hope there's a big turnout to support the girls' volleyball team and put extreme political pressure on the Riverside Unified School District to clarify their policy that they're not going to allow
20 seconds.
girls sports, and we're going to clear the policy. The girls shouldn't have forfeited it. The school district should have. Jesse said we'll be joining the Mighty Met KMET here in a few minutes. Hopefully we'll have Susan Shelley on, as we usually do.
2 seconds. Here we go.
Wednesday.
IE Newswire Daily is on the air.
The following is a paid program. Views and claims expressed are those of the program producer and are not endorsed by this station. Opinions expressed are not necessarily those of radio station KMET, its management, employees, or affiliates.
There's that funky slide guitar music that comes in every Monday through Friday. Live at 5:30 on the Mighty Met, 1490 AM. Broadcasting all over the Inland Empire on the aforementioned AM band. Join your vast video audience in the Evil Hippie Network, Rumble, X, all that good stuff. As they say, hopefully we're on X and Rumble. I don't know. It looks like, again, we've been having fun days on all our tech goodies. So, but I'm fairly confident we are on the Evil Hippie Network and YouTube. So check us out on there. Lots of stuff going on. Updates on the missing 7-month-old boy, Emmanuel Haro. There was a fire. Eddie George of Action Eye News was on the scene, caught it, of a house across the street. A couple of people walking off. We don't know if they started it or not, but the fire investigators and police don't suspect that it has anything to do with the Haros. But Eddie George is also reporting that clothing of Emmanuel was found in a dumpster a quarter mile away from the homes where the Haros live and where the home, as you saw in the beginning, burnt down. So we'll keep you up to date on anything. And again, hope for the best, prepare for the worst on that case. But man, we still hold out hope that they will find Emmanuel, but we don't, it's, with the way things are going, it's not looking 100% optimistic in that case. Whole fireworks that happened at Marina Valley City Council last night, of canceling the meetings or canceling public events over ice. And at least 4 members did at least not buckle to the fear. But some of the things Shaylinda Bernard especially said, and we ran some of them, maybe we'll run some tomorrow, were extremely concerning about, how Trump's turning it into a police state and all this fear mongering, and they're doing that. And just like Shaylinda and any other of these public officials, please come on in studio and let's have a discussion about it in an open forum where you're not controlling things like you do at the council meetings. And we know why. You preach this democracy, and we ran Aaron Russo's one clip, and maybe we'll get into that more too next week. But democracy is just another form of dictatorship or anything because 51% rules. A representative republic like we have protects everyone's right, protects the 1%, the minority, against the 99% taking that away from you. So let's get the stuff straight. They virtue signal a lot of this stuff, but oh man, and we're only on hump day in the middle of the week, and we still got another 3 days to go. But as we usually do on a Wednesday, we have the famed editorial writer, columnist for the Press Enterprise, San Bernardino Sun, Inland Daily Bulletin, Redlands Daily Facts, and more important to me, Vice President of Howard Jarvis Taxpayers Association, Susan Shelley. Welcome to IE Newswire with Roy.
Thank you, Roy. Great to be with you.
Man, there's all sorts of stuff going on, but I haven't touched on it yet today. But of course, the California legislature is doing their gerrymander of all gerrymanders of all time. Maybe we'll have to rename this Newsomander after it's all done, if they pull it or if they attempt to pull this off. But they won't even tell us. Ashley Zavala, the great KCRA3 reporter, was up there, and others. They won't. We're asking, well, who drew the map? Well, we're not going to tell you. Well, we know Paul Mitchell's the one that basically drew the map, and you guys are throwing it out there like that. And he even said, I've never drawn, and he does this for, that's one of his businesses, is to do this for the local agencies. He even said, I've never been asked to draw a partisan map. This is the first time. So there's quotes in the press that he has said that, the guy that's drawn the map. So there is no, why don't you guys up there, you scoundrels in Sacramento, just be honest about what you're doing? If you would just be that, at least we may have a little respect from you. But what say you, Susan?
Well, it's very interesting because we know that Paul Mitchell was involved in drawing the maps, but that doesn't mean he made the decisions about whether they were going to go this way or that way. Who made the decisions? Was it Nancy Pelosi? Was it the California Congressional Democratic Delegation? Was it the Assembly leadership? I believe the legislation says that the maps were drawn by the Assembly and Senate election committees, and yet they weren't. They were not even shared with the committees. So I think that's why Ashley Zavala was asking the question, because we're being lied to in the official documents, the official legislation that they're voting on. And really, that shouldn't happen. Even though you can say, oh, it's just politics, this is law that they're doing here. They're going to amend the Constitution. They're going to move some of the election dates. They're going to create a special election in an off year. This is law, and it involves tax money, and it involves rescinding what the voters approved, which was the Citizen Redistricting Commission. So it's not just politics. It's a lot of things, and they're making a mess of it.
Yes, and was it Assemblywoman Macedo, which is on the committee, and she was asking the other the people, the ones on there, the same question: who drew the maps? And they came up with that same jive. Well, the leadership are doing that. She says, "I'm on the freaking committee. This is a committee, and I never saw anything." So why do you guys keep lying about that? Say, we're gonna see if we can. I would, at least for me personally, I'd have some respect for them if they said, "Yeah, we're doing this. We're going to shove it down your throat and see if you like it." And then let's be honest about it. Let's not quit. We're not in kindergarten anymore, Susan.
We're not. You could have fooled me. Well, this is just very interesting because what Texas is doing is strictly partisan, but that's the law in Texas. They can do that. That's constitutional. Political groups are not like a protected class where you can't discriminate against one political party or the other. Partisan redistricting is legal in Texas, but it's not legal in California because the voters actually voted 3 separate times to have a citizen redistricting committee. They voted yes in 2008 to having the state districts and the Board of Equalization drawn by the Citizens Commission. And then in 2010, there were 2 votes. One was to get rid of the Citizen Commission, and that was defeated. So that's 2 votes in favor of the Citizens Commission. And then the other vote was to expand it to cover the congressional committees. That passed with 61%. So this is the will of the voters of the people of California, and they can't just wave it away and say because Trump. It doesn't matter if Trump's president. They can't do this the same way Texas can do it.
1,000%. I mean, again, Texas is just doing what California and Illinois and Connecticut and New York and the Democrats have been doing in their controlled states for decades. And they're crying foul about it. That's why I like when Morning Joe came on about that and said, well, Newsom's doing, with the whole Twitter thing that he's trying to copy Trump or whatever's going on there. He said, well, Newsom should just tell Californians talk about affordability and grocery prices. I hope Gavin Newsom takes Joe Scarborough's advice. I dare Gavin Newsom to go out and say how affordable everything is, from housing to gas to groceries to everything else in California. That would be hilarious. Please do that. If that's what you think is going to win for you, go for it. You're digging yourself a hole. I'm going to hand you shovels, Susan.
Absolutely. Well, I think this is just politically very damaging because it's going to blow up in their faces. What are they going to do when the voters say no? They're going to look terrible. Texas went ahead and did this. The House in Texas passed it. The Senate is apparently a lock. The governor will sign it, and they will have new maps. And if California does pull this off and trick the voters and into suspending the current maps and replacing them, well, Florida could do this. Indiana could do this. I think there's like 4 or 5 states that are Republican controlled that are not what you would consider fully gerrymandered, where if they did decide to fully gerrymander, they could negate what California is doing. And then everybody's going to be just partisan warfare from coast to coast. So
yeah, if the Republicans, like Trump said, the Republicans need to start fighting fire with fire. And everybody's looked at it. the Democrats are way more tapped out on the Newsomander or gerrymander, however you want to say it, deal than the Republicans. So if they want to get in a fight in this, and if the Republicans and the center right start playing the game by the rules that are there, we're going to come out better even in 26. And I still think Trump should push for redoing the census. By 26, if only citizens count for redistricting, that would really throw that's probably another 10 to 20 seats that are going to go from Democrat to Republican. They're not like Zelensky. The Democrats are not holding any cards. And I believe that's why Newsom's running the threat. Well, if Texas backs off, we'll back off. Well, that shouldn't matter. Newsom, it shouldn't matter what Texas is doing. You should be doing what's right for California. And just to be saying that automatically means you're guilty, Susan.
Yes. I think they may be making the mistake of thinking that social media is real life. Because if you put something on social media that's extremely snarky and you get 1 million likes for it, does that mean that it's going to work in a campaign? No, because the people who are on social media are not representative of the electorate, and certainly not of the likely voters. So this is just, I think they're just being stupid, honestly. I think they're making, from their own perspective, I think they're making a huge mistake, and it's going to benefit the Republicans, which is good for the country.
Yes, and just you mentioned that of the social media and the X thing deal going on. And again, Newsom, or who is he or who is ever doing that, trying to copy Trump, imitation is the sincerest form of flattery. They're just, if you're going to do something, at least try something different. I mean, Newsom's iteration 9,432 that he's trying to come up with on this is, I mean, he acts like a schizophrenia, or what is it, the old Sybil movie with 27 personalities or something? I mean, but this is the dumbest one, I think, of that, because all he's doing is bringing attention more to Trump. That's Trump's persona. That's how he got to be successful. That's how he got to be president. That's his persona. Gavin Newsom, stake out your own deal, but first you have to have a moral compass and a direction, and Newsom doesn't have that, Susan.
Well, see, that's where you're exactly 100% right. I completely agree with you. It's not the method that makes Trump effective. It's the message. It's what he's saying. When Trump, for example, in 2015 and 2016 was barnstorming the country saying, build the wall, that was something that nobody else in politics was saying, but the voters really wanted it. They really wanted to hear it, even in states that were nowhere near the southern border. Everybody wanted the wall. So what is Gavin Newsom doing? Is he saying something that everyone wants to hear, but people are afraid to say? Far from it. He's saying things that nobody wants to hear, that the Democrats won't shut up about.
It's something else. Getting to your columns, California's transit systems are a robbery in progress. The old train robberies, I guess, are coming back, Susan Shelley.
They sure are. Well, what's going on is there's a great new study from the California Policy Center from Mark Jaffe that says it's called the cost of transit in California. And he found that in 2023, there was a $10 billion shortfall in 85 California transit systems combined. $10 billion that the taxpayers had to make up because the transit system didn't have the revenue to cover it. $10 billion a year is a lot of taxpayer subsidy for public transit. And now there are all these plans for tax increases. There's SB 63, which would allow a higher sales tax in 5 counties in the Bay Area to fund transit. And there's the new cap and trade extension that the governor is pushing, which would pull $1 billion a year out of your pocket to fund the bullet train for 15 years, which is insane. It's an insane waste of money, and it's coming from this hidden tax on energy that makes gasoline and electricity more expensive, and so everybody pays it in the most painful bills possible. And this is another thing, because we have to have transit, we have to have the bullet train. We don't have to have the bullet train. We've gotten along just fine without the bullet train in California. We don't need the bullet train, and yet they want to tax everybody to build the bullet train. And then there's more of this, where they're just looking for tax increases. LA County's talking about doing Actually, it's supposed to be, I think, a statewide bond, $20 billion. $20 billion for transit systems. And it's my understanding that they might be able to use some of that money for operating costs, not just capital costs, because of some change to the law a few years ago. So this would be disastrous. They would be borrowing money for 30 years to pay salary. Crazy. I mean, the money will just evaporate and we'll be left with all this debt. And this is what they're doing to Californians. They are just charging us and charging us. And then the worst of all is SB 79, which supposedly is designed to create more riders for the transit systems. And guess how they're going to do that? They're going to change the zoning in single-family neighborhoods so that if it's within a half a mile of a transit stop, an apartment building can go up on any single-family lot. So your neighbors could sell their house, a developer could buy it, it could be a 7-story apartment building. And there'd be nothing your city could do about it. That would be state law.
This reminds me, they're turning bonds into a payday loan. When you mention that, I mean, the stupidest thing, you don't borrow money to pay daily expenses. You borrow money to build the infrastructure, roads, the trains, tracks, or whatever, water projects, a university, or something like that. That's at least the project you're doing is supposed to outlast the term of the bond. So once you pay it off, you still get the use of it. When you're using it for salaries and benefits or daily expenses or repairs or everything, that's just money that's gone. That's
right.
That's total 1,000% insanity. And ask any third-rate economist, CPA. That's the quickest way to bankruptcy, Susan.
It sure is. It's just reckless to the 10th degree. It's so crazy reckless. And who are we doing this to? We're doing this to children and grandchildren because these are 30-year bonds, 40-year bonds. They're going to be paying for the stupid climate bond, for the stupid education bond, which wasn't necessary. They're going to be paying, if this happens, $20 billion for a transit bond, and there's talk about doing a multi-billion-dollar housing bond for affordable housing. Well, what's going to happen when future budgets have to pay all these payments, all this repayment for the bond debt in Sacramento before they can pay the highway patrol, before they can fix the roads, before they can fund the schools, before they can fund the parks? They're going to have to pay this old debt and the interest because dingbat politicians right now are looking for campaign contributions from the people who are going to get the contracts to build all this stuff. It should be illegal to do this.
1,000%. Your other column, LADWP continues to bilk ratepayers in pursuit of foamy climate leadership. Susan.
This is also very concerning. The LADWP, famously, that did not fill the reservoir in the Pacific Palisades, that had a broken valve that caused no water service in Porter Ranch and Granada Hills in the North San Fernando Valley for a week. Well, they're just spending a fortune to go green. They're so proud of themselves. They have funded this giant solar plant and battery storage plant out in Mojave. It is the size of 13 Dodger stadiums, including the parking lots. And it is going to create enough electricity on an ideal day under ideal conditions for 200 and some thousand homes. Well, that's not a drop in the bucket. It's 7% of the electricity LA uses. The head of the DWP said, if we just get 10 more of these, we'll meet our climate goals. Really? It was a $2 billion production? And so we have to pay $20 billion and have 130 Dodger stadiums, including parking lots, for solar panels and battery storage. And all of this for what? For supposedly saving the climate when it has no effect on the climate, because all of California is less than 1% of global greenhouse gases. So all this is doing is raising everybody's bill while they're neglecting the basic infrastructure like, hydrants and reservoirs and drinking water. These people should be in prison for this.
1,000%. We had some of the Moreno Valley City Council. Because the state is coming out with some deal of, oh well, you know, if your air conditioner and heater central unit goes bad, you got to replace it with an electric heat pump and all this other noise. But you still have, they're saying, well, you still have choices. No, I don't have the choice to be able to heat and air condition my home at a reasonable freaking cost. And then you're sitting there scared of the state of California. It goes on and on and on. Tell them why they should join HGA to stop all of this madness, Susan Shelley.
Well, somebody in California has to stand up for taxpayers and ratepayers and regular Californians who are paying the bills for all these terrible policy decisions. And it's the Howard Jarvis Taxpayers Association that is standing up for you in the courts, in the legislature, on the ballot. And we're going to be doing an initiative starting in September. We'll be collecting signatures to close a loophole that is making it easier to raise your taxes. We don't want that to happen. So all you have to do is download the petition and sign it and mail it back 5 minutes out of your day, and you will save Prop 13 and you'll save yourself a lot of money. And that's at saveprop13.com. And if you want to join Howard Jarvis, you can join online at hjta.org. Please do be a member of the Howard Jarvis Taxpayers Association.
Thanks for being on, Susan. We'll do it again next week.
Thank you, Roy.
You got it. Susan Shelley, Vice President of Howard Jarvis Taxpayers Association and columnist extraordinaire for the Southern California News Group. We're still getting assaulted from all different directions. But at least we're starting to see the signs of turning and making a little progress on this stuff. From Redlands, the school board, Jeanette and Candy, relentlessly keeping on this, getting the wokeism, the sexualization of kids, trying to get education back, reading, writing, and arithmetic back in the schools. You know, the resistance, Morning Joe, now almost... Next week, Joe Scarborough and Meek are going to have MAGA hats on if this keeps up. I really think Joe is trying to sabotage Gavin Newsom by the advice he's giving. And I say go for it. Thank goodness. Even though there's still a lot of problems with the Moreno Valley City Councils and a lot of them. And we're making progress on some of this stuff. At least we beat back the fear content of it. Again, tomorrow, especially, Riverside Unified School District, any of you in the area, it's on Brockton between Central and Arlington at the old adult school. Come out and support the Poly High girls volleyball team. Said we're not going to compete against teams with boys on them. Period. End of story. They forfeited against Harupa Valley, which that JB, whatever his name is, boy is on the team now. JB Hernandez, I think. And it's important, especially at this time where we have them. At least we're galvanizing support and we have them a little bit backpedaling or not as bold, or we're starting to play offense. It's about time, but once you start that, you cannot back up, else they will own you like nobody's business. Couple of the local stories before we check out. We get it on there. Boosted by new international offerings, Ontario Airport setting record travel numbers. This was on KTLA.com, so good news for Ontario Airport. Flood rescue out of Rialto. Firefighters rescued a man who was injured in a flood control channel, so good job, firefighters, and I hope the man recovers fully. Hemet Police Department give you an update on the shooting that was out there. There's 50 years ago, and I remember this. This is when you went through Temecula of the time they were starting to build the freeway, and you see Rancho Cucamonga or Rancho California Road. There's like, that's the way it was. I mean, if you blinked going by, you missed Temecula. And of course, seeing it today, or Riverside, or seeing it today with the highly built up town it is now. Spoofing call warning. Scam alerts being put out by San Jacinto Sheriff's Station. So watch out for that. These are wise words from Javier Milei, the great president who's turned Argentina from the depths of economic depression using free market principles into a thriving country in less than a year. Do not surrender to a political class that only wants to stay in power and retain its privileges. Hear, hear. 1,000%. Don't back down. No democracy, Shay. We're not playing dictator games. You're not rulers, and we're not putting up with the rhetoric. If you're really protecting the minority position, you will be supporting Donald Trump and the MAGA movement, because we are protecting the minority rights, and because anybody that's rights are violated, everyone's are. You want to have majority rule, or the way you want it. That is extremely dangerous. Please come in and we'll have a discussion about it. That'll do it for today. As we usually say at this time, mandatory you back here 23 hours wide to hear the best darn show in the whole wide world. Until then, see ya.
All right. I'll talk to you tomorrow.
You got it.